Hey everyone, Coach Brad here. Are you still struggling to achieve the health, energy, and well being that you deserve and desire? If you're ready to end the struggle once and for all, check out my in demand Couch to Healthy 12-week wellness training program. What is Couch to Healthy, you ask? Couch to Healthy is a 12-week wellness transformation program designed to get you off the yo yo cycle once and for all and take back your health, energy, and happiness in a fun, easy, and sustainable manner. With Couch to Healthy, you'll learn how to create a CEO championship mindset for your health, learn healthy eating habits, learn how to exercise using the slow, easy method based on heart rate and age, and more. Be sure and click on the link in the show notes for more information and get it now while the price is still 50% off for a very limited time. We all want greater self worth and more self confidence, but how to achieve that? My guest today, Linh Dang, has been on her own journey of self discovery and to having greater self worth and self confidence. In today's episode, Linh shares with us how she supports others in their journey of personal growth and transformation to have greater self worth and self confidence via the technique of rapid transformational hypnosis. Virtually all issues of low self worth and low self confidence can be traced back to a belief or a block that is going on within the psyche. This limiting belief, or again, hidden block, often prevents a person from having greater self worth and self confidence. It's a matter of uncovering the limiting belief or hidden block and replacing the old belief with a new belief that supports you on your journey of growth and transformation. A big key to all of this, growing more confident in your own skin, is listening to your inner voice and what it is telling you. The process of greater self worth and self confidence is a gradual process. But in today's episode, you'll also learn about two key skills to have greater awareness of your thoughts. And greater awareness leads to identifying the thoughts and stories you are telling yourself, which ultimately leads to creating new thoughts and stories. And these new thoughts and stories ultimately lead to the greater self worth and self confidence. As Lean states near the end of the podcast, you are worthy of change and capable of it at the same time. Be sure and listen all the way to the end for the word of the episode and a special free offer. Linh Dang is a rapid transformational hypnotherapist who is on a mission to help people unravel subconscious blocks, release suppressed emotions through hypnosis so that they too can heal their relationship with themselves and others. She can be reached on her Instagram at LeanDangK. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Be Well, Be Safe, Be Happy, Eat Ice Cream podcast. My guest today is Linh Dang. Linh, thank you so much for being here. How are you doing?
Thank you, Brett, for having me today. I'm doing so great.
Well, and you know, Lynn, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on this podcast is I look for people and coaches and whatnot from all walks of life who kind of fit in with my theme of, better health, more energy, living a more purposeful life and all that. And I know you kind of focus on this area of self-worth and self-confidence. And I love this expression that you used in one of your posts about this idea of a powerful attitude. And so we're going to jump into all of that because I think that is so critical, on this journey of, what I call be well, be safe, be happy. Before we get into that, though, I'm curious your background a little bit. How did you get into coaching to begin with, and how did you become the coach that you are?
Brett, if you asked me this question when I think like 5 years ago,
Uh-huh.
my teacher would probably like, no way I would end up being a hypnotherapist or a coach because that's
Right.
definitely not the plan. Because the plan has always been, like find a husband, graduate, and find a
Okay.
stable job with stable income
Okay.
to live a very stable life. But then all it takes is a breakup. So there's this saying by Mandy Hale that sometimes it takes a heartbreak for you to be shaken up and realize that you are worth so much more than what you settle down for. And
Oh,
I love that saying
beautiful.
because it's so true. So I went through a breakup like 3 years ago. And after that breakup, I had to take a hard look at my life and realize that things is not going the way it should be. Like I'm not living my life on my own terms. And
Mm.
I realized that I didn't really know much about myself. I didn't know what I'm passionate about. I didn't know what like my purpose in life. And then that's when I really start embarking on the journey of self-development and really take ownership of my life in terms of like physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. So that where it all started, a breakup.
And how would you, so 5 years ago, how would you describe your self-worth and your like self-care and all of that back then?
I was a master at people pleasing. Like
Okay.
I put people on a pedestal and I do whatever it takes to make people feel comfortable and happy. I would consider myself as a facilitator for people happiness. So I have this ability to just like really tune into people's emotion. Just by looking at someone's facial expression, I can tell, oh, they need this, they
Oh,
need that,
I'll
they
hide my
need to
face.
yeah, and that's why a lot of people feel really comfortable around me and they start sharing story and I love that. But along the way I forgot to really listen to myself. Like I just totally project every single sense of myself to others. Like I look at people to help them, but I don't really listen to my inner world.
Mm.
And then my self-esteem suffered because of that. I wasn't confident in my own skin and I didn't believe that I'm good enough to like have more in life, which is part of the reason why it was such a big struggle for me after the breakup, because I thought that I couldn't find anyone's better than my ex, which is totally wrong.
And so how did you start to, I guess, overcome this lack of or low self-esteem that you said? And how did you start to develop your self-worth and your self-confidence in yourself then?
Mm. Well, it's a process. It's like a long journey, and it started with me. I think it's like the mind and the body. Everybody knows the connection between the mind and the body. So the first thing that I try to take ownership of is my body. After the breakup, I dragged myself to the hospital twice, and I think it was that moment when I was sitting on the bus, crying and feeling absolutely pathetic and depressed. And then I was just thinking to myself, like, oh my God, Lynn, you can get this low in life. Like, is it what you want? And I was just like, no, this is not what I want. And then the next day, it was just like a switch turn on. I was like, I haven't touched a single drop of alcohol since then. It has been like 2 years ago already. And then I did a lot of intermittent fasting, ketogenic diet, a lot of biohacking
Hmm.
practices. I don't know if you have heard of it, but yeah, like optimizing the inner environment and outer environment so that I can live healthy and expand longevity. So I did a lot of that. And then slowly I realized that there's another part of the equation, which is the mind. So then I start doing yoga, meditation, and then self work, which is shadow work, inner child. And then that's when I get to know hypnotherapy as a modality and fell in love with it.
So let's dive into that then. What exactly is the hypnotherapy and how do you use it to improve, I guess, self-confidence and self-worth?
Mm. I think hypnotherapy recently getting popular in like among people because I think people still very skeptical with the idea of being hypnotized just by like they see a lot of stage hypnosis, so to say, and people just sort of lose consciousness and then do whatever the what is the word, the hypnotist tell them to do, which is not really the case here. I think hypnotherapy, it's and the techniques that I use is actually called rapid transformational therapy, which was developed by a very well-known therapist in UK called Marissa Peer.
Okay.
And it's a combination of cognitive behavioral therapy and neurolinguistic programming, and also hypnosis. So combine all of that. So it has a lot to do with listening to the client's language, also identify the way they form their thought, their emotion, and how thoughts and emotion form their belief, and how their belief influence their reality, and
Mm-hmm.
then try to poke hole into the wrong belief or like outdated beliefs so that they can produce a better outcome in their life. So hypnosis is just like you get into a very relaxing stage.
That sounds
As a
good.
short, simple answer, you get induced into a very relaxing stage in which you open the door to your subconscious mind so that it gives you some images or like memories or things that it knows relating to the problem that you have in your life at the moment. So during my session with my clients, I would just guide them through a bunch of like steps, and it's like guided meditation, so to say. And when they get super relaxed, they start opening up. So it's not like this very woo woo things that you thought, which is like, oh my God, it's probably going to feel really amazing, or it's still somehow different from the reality. Like, no, you will still be able to get out of hypnosis if you want to just get really relaxed. It's like the sleep of the nervous system, so to say, but your mind is fully awake.
Now, is this something that helps with mindset also, I guess? I know in one of your posts I read that, for a while you were kind of in this, I think you called it the powerless attitude, this kind of victim mindset,
Mhm.
and you were able to shift that to what you now call a powerful attitude, or I guess like a victorious type mindset. Is that something that this helps with, and how all does that work? How were you able to shift your mindset, I guess?
Mm. Totally. It can help with shifting your mindset. So, for example, a client came to me saying that she's struggling with procrastination, right? So she has this coaching business that she built and about to do something that she knows is really important for her business or the growth of her business. She start procrastinate. She start eating ice cream and she reached to the kitchen and start, doing something else. And then she came to me because she realized that pattern within herself, and she was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And apparently, if you go deep enough, you'll figure out that, I mean, it's not just about you being lazy or you don't have any willpower over your behavior. It's actually much deeper than that. So, for example, in her case, we found out that it has a lot to do with the fact that when she was a kid, she has to take on her mom responsibility as an adult in the household. So she has a younger sister, and no one was taking care of her because her mom was pretty much like not really care about them. So she has to be an adult since she was a young age. And for over 20 years, she had to do that. And when her sister is now in college and she has some free time for herself, and then she have another baby, which is the business. So we realized that the role of the procrastination is just to give her a break. Like, you have been through so much in life. So now that you have some time for yourself, why do you want to embark on something else? Knowing that you're going to spend a lot of energy, a lot of effort, you're probably going to be struggle, and then you're going to bump into fears. So that just a lot of things, and it's overwhelmed her and the inner child, the child who have never get to experience the fun, like just eat ice cream whenever she wants, or just, go watch TV or watch series as much as possible. The child wasn't really happy with that. So a lot of our behavior is because of the unmet needs of the inner child. So throughout the session, we were able to heal the relationship with her inner child, and she was able to just talk to herself through it all. It was her who fixed herself, it's not me. So it's a beautiful modality that I love because I didn't really get to do much. I just ask questions and guide them, and the rest of the work up to them. So after the session, the next day she sent me a message. It's like, "Whoa, I didn't really go to the kitchen at all today during my work, and I feel amazing because I realize now it's has nothing to do with like me being lazy or I don't have any willpower. Just that I haven't been taking care of the unmet needs of my inner child, and it's a beautiful thing to see."
So not taking care, I'm familiar with this idea of inner child, not taking care
Mhm.
of the inner child. Is that, do you think, leads to lack of self-worth and low self-esteem and low self-confidence and some of the victim type mindset issues that we see in the world today?
It's a part. I would say when it's come to when it comes to our self-worth, self-esteem, there's a lot of factors facilitate it. And I mean, it has a lot to do with our raised and the way our parents chose to raise it. And I'm not saying this so that we can blame our parents or anything like that, because I believe that all parents on earth, they try their best with
Right.
whatever they got at the time. But of course, sometimes it's just not good enough, as like so to say. But of course, as a child, we would assume that our parents supposed to love it and facilitate it and facilitate us and help us grow as a human being. So when they did or say something that imply otherwise, we immediately assume that it's something wrong with us. So I think it's a part of the reason why we sort of mistaken our like deservingness. Like I don't deserve love because somehow my parent didn't really give me the vibe that they are love me in the way that I want. So it takes a lot of self-awareness for people to slowly realize that our past and our present is different. And lots of the time we bring on or like we take on the things that happened in the past and just apply to the present moment, which is not really helpful.
Yeah, I like to emphasize that a lot too, that, our past doesn't equal our future. Well, that's something that in the Tony Robbins groups that they talk about too, that the past does
Mm.
not equal the future. So, if someone really wants to improve their self-worth, become like even me, I've struggled with self-confidence a lot in my life and have slowly, I guess, chipped away at, trying to be this more confident person. What would you say to that person?
Well, I would say that we are all the same. I mean, we are being human. I mean, no one can be confident 100% of the time. That would just make, I think, a sociopath.
Ah,
Because
yeah.
without, yeah, I mean, the lack of confidence, you can use that as a stepping stone so that you can be better. Let's say, like, sometimes we think that, oh, I'm not good enough so that I can work harder and be a better person. But what is really detrimental is when we associate, this feeling of like, oh, I'm not good enough, so I'm going to work harder on it. But like, I'm not good enough. So, I mean, there's nothing going to change. Like, it's just who I am. Who I am is that I'm not a person of enoughness. I'm not a person of worth. So, I shouldn't exist. That is a very detrimental way to think. But when you think that, like, oh, that person is really good at this and I'm not yet there, but I can work hard. I believe in my ability to get there so that I will work hard so I can be that person. Oh, no, not be that person, but I can be as good as that person. That is a growth mindset. That is confidence. So to say you have confidence in your ability to make things happen for yourself. Everybody started out being stupid. I mean, you're stupid when you don't know things, but then later on, when you learn and you accumulate experience, you become a genius. So a lot of the time, I think people, when they compare themselves to someone at this particular point in time and they see that, oh, I'm not as good as them, and they assume that they are not good, or like, yeah, I'm stupid. That is not the way to think. You like, we have to separate, like, okay, where I am on my timeline, on my journey, is not the same as where they are. They probably did a lot of work. They practice a lot so that they can get to that point in their life. And we can get there too if we start working now. So just by thinking that, oh, I'm so bad or I'm stupid, it doesn't really help with your growth. So I think people need to be aware of the way they talk to themselves.
Yeah.
Like, just the language it's really important.
How did you get that awareness? Like 5 years ago, you didn't have it, but now obviously you do. How did you? Awareness is a big key. That took me a long time. I mean, we're talking years for me. I don't know, maybe I'm a guy, I'm a little slower. I don't know. But how did you develop this awareness to then start, reframing your thoughts and all the other things that went along with your.
Mhm. The easiest way and the way that you can immediately implement is journal. I mean, I just start journaling out every single thing in my, like, first thing in the morning page, just write down whatever is in my mind, just practicing putting into words whatever in your head, because when you write things down, it start elaborate itself. Sometimes when you start writing things out, it's opening up and it clarify things for you. So that's part of your like awareness expansion. The other thing that you can do is meditate. I meditate every single morning,
Oh,
like
okay.
sometimes for even an hour. I
Oh, wow.
like, yeah, it's really peaceful. Like that is my time. I consider that first couple of hours of the day is my time. I'm just going to dedicate that to myself, with myself, without any distraction. So it's either meditate or read a few pages of the book, no music whatsoever, or maybe just sit and stare out the window looking at the tree. But at least it's me and myself, just observing my thoughts, not having any like urge to control what is going on in here. I'm just observing. And after a while, your awareness starts to become very like what is the word? Like you quick to capture things.
Okay.
Something happened and you immediately, oh, okay, I immediately thought of that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And if you are able to aware of your own thought, you will be able to modify it in a way that would help you, because a
So
thought will affect your emotion and your emotion will affect your behavior.
yeah. It's like the mind goes first. I say the mind goes first and then yeah, the body. So is that what you were able to do? You were able to like really become aware of some of your thoughts and then you just started changing your thoughts to a way that served you better then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just practice, a lot of practice. I wouldn't say that I'm perfectly aware of every single thought that I have. That would be like superhuman ability. Um, but yeah, I celebrate with myself a lot. Like after, like sometimes you just need to give yourself that appreciation. It's like, whoa, looking back, you have been through a lot, Lynn. You're doing well, and like, and you compare yourself now and back then, because back then I wasn't having this ability to capture that gap, like the space between the trigger and the emotion or the reaction. And now I'm able to do that. And when I journal, I celebrate it. It's just like, wow, we have been through so much. And you just give yourself that tiny appreciation throughout along the journey. And it's just slowly build your confidence with, the way you aware of it.
Yeah, doing it over and over. I want to ask you real quick about your meditation. So when you're meditating, are you like repeating like positive affirmations or positive mottos to yourself, or are you just kind of letting everything drift away and just focusing on being peaceful, or how does your meditation work?
Mm, for someone who, well, I only started meditating right after the breakup, so it's like 3 years ago, right? And I didn't really have any role model to do after, but then yeah, I mean, there's YouTube, right? So the first person I learned after was Vishen Lakhiani's six-phase meditation. I think that is a great start for people who have never meditated before to learn after, because it's include a lot of things, including forgiving and kindness and affirmation. But nowadays, my meditation style has transformed a lot throughout the year. At the moment, it was pretty much me and my breathing. I count my breath and then I just stay in silence. I don't really do affirmation. I just breathe and then I let things come to me. So to say, a lot of silence, no music whatsoever.
Okay.
And I think in that space, you're aware of your thoughts way better.
So let me ask you this. I'm curious. It takes a lot of motivation to stay with the meditation and the self-development and self-improvement, or some might use the word discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. How are you able to stick with this, to stick with the daily self-improvement and meditation and all of that? Do you have a
Mhm.
secret sauce, or what's your secret there?
I don't think there's any secret. It's like you do what works for you, right? So I start comparing me without meditating and me with meditation. So on the days that I don't meditate, it doesn't feel as good. Like I react or I get a bit um cranky. or I easily feel negative emotions. But on the days that I meditate first thing in the morning, somehow things flow easier because I I was able to have that time for myself in the morning, first thing for the first. Um and then throughout the day, because during the meditation, I also set intention for the day as well. It's like today I'm going to just enjoy A,
Right,
B, C,
right.
D, E, F. Like you have an intention. And because of that intention, the day is just like, going according to plan, so to say.
Mhm.
But without the meditation, it's just like you don't have any clear direction. Okay, let's just bring it on, whatever going on the day, then so be it. And then sometimes you have a bad day and then you start reacting a lot.
Mhm.
So I compare and then I just choose whatever works for me. And meditation, I think, is always work for everyone.
Okay, because you kind of like the meditative version of you better than the non-meditative version.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would choose the me who not reacting
Yeah.
like always.
Now, let me ask you this as a coach then. So you see someone, or what would you say to someone who is struggling to stay motivated or to stay on the journey and is struggling with like some of the same issues you were a couple of years ago, the victim type mindset and the low self-esteem, self-worth. What would you say to them to kind of like, you know, take off? This is how you get your life to take off, and this is how you stay motivated and all of that.
Mm. Well, the first thing I would tell them is that be kinder to yourself. I think most of the time when people in that stage find themselves in that stage, there were a lot of controlling going on, I would say, because I've been there when I stressed out the most or when I feel like I'm like hitting the wall constantly. It's me putting one foot on the gas pedal and the other foot on the brake. Just like, oh, something is not working. And yet I'm just forcing going forward because I'm out of patience. Like I want to get result now. And then during that process, you just like, there's a lot of rowing going on, but not a lot of moving. So first thing first, you have to get your mind in order. Like you can't really achieve anything in a stressful stage or in an agitated stage. So
Right.
when you find yourself agitating, don't just keep like forcing it or don't try harder. Take a step back, re-evaluate everything. What is working, what is not. Just be kinder to yourself, talk to yourself, like, okay, what do you need? How have you been feeling? Is it like, have you been taking care of yourself? And most of the time, people who find themselves struggling because they haven't been taking care of themselves enough. Maybe they haven't been sleeping enough. That's a big part of like the I think sleep is so important in every single thing that we do because without sleep, we don't have that time to rejuvenate or to
Yeah.
recalibrate whatever is going on in your life. And so, yeah, just take a step back, take a big deep breath, and re-evaluate your current position and looking at the big goal. Remind yourself the why, and then start contemplating on the next small step that you can take, not the big step, not like, oh, I'm going to work harder tomorrow, like define work harder, like, okay, how many hours a day are you going to work, like what are you going to work on, what is your priorities, something like that. Just break it into a tiny pieces and then just do one thing at a time, be patient.
So, Lean, let me ask you this. How would you compare the you of today to the you of 5 years ago? Like a lot more confident today, a lot more, I guess, happy, and not just because of the whole relationship issue, just because you've really done the work on yourself.
Mm, um purposeful, I think is the word. I'm much more purposeful than the me 5 years ago. Happier, definitely. I see meanings in my life. Like I see meanings in everything that I do, which make life so much more beautiful. I wouldn't say that I'm happy all the time. Of course, there are moments of sadness, but I enjoy the duality. Like without the pain, you wouldn't be able to appreciate when you are happy fully. And the same, we just need this dark and bright things in order to appreciate life. So yeah, compared to the me 5 years ago, yeah, just meaningful, purposeful, and fulfilled in a way.
I can see the smile on your face. How about confidence compared to now compared to 5 years ago?
I think confidence is definitely a part of it, but I don't want to overuse it because it's becoming like this buzzword, like, oh, I want to be more confident.
Yeah,
And
it is. Yeah, you're
I,
right. Yeah.
yeah. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and then she was saying that, yeah, I really I didn't do this. And I feel like I'm lack of confidence and I need to work on my confidence so that I can, do that kind of thing. As if like people start looking at confidence as if it's like a thing that I have to achieve so that I can do a thing. I think confidence is just that, like when you are able to see your own worth, confidence just follows. Just like need to work on your self belief. Like you need to see what's you good at. You need to be able to see all this goodness that exists within you. You need to see what you are capable of and your potential, and know that you can make things happen as long as you put your mind into it. I think that is definition of confidence. Is not this thing that you can just achieve and you stay there for forever. It goes and it comes.
Go sometimes. Yeah, that idea of like seeing your potential you just mentioned, is that we talked about inner child a little while ago. Is that does that go back to, working on this inner child, that you talked about?
Yeah, it has. I mean, inner child is. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
So this idea of seeing your potential, uh,
Hmm.
to help a person with that, does that go back to, you mentioned before, working on the inner child then?
No, working on it on the inner child has a lot to do with your subconscious block, actually. Like
Okay.
when you are able to integrate with your inner child, it's like your consciousness become whole. So you are able to see things in the reality a bit clearer. But your potential, I think it has a lot to do with how much you experience in life. You need to test and you need to see what you like. You need to know. I mean, if you don't do anything and you just sit in one place, what would be your potential? Like you wouldn't know. You have to do something first in order to see that, oh, I like that thing and I feel like I'm good at it. So I'm going to put effort into it. That is potential. But yeah, the inner child has a lot to do with like the unmet needs or the pain or the suppressed emotion that you had back when you were a child. And that is holding you back from realizing like what you are good at.
Your full potential as an adult.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I understand. Yeah. And just for anyone listening, I just want to remind folks, if you're watching or listening, that this is a journey. This doesn't happen overnight. You've been on a journey, Lean, and I've been on a journey, and I wanted to change. Nobody can make me change. I have to want to change myself, and sometimes it takes a catalysmic type event, a breakup of a relationship or a health issue or death of a loved one to spur us forward. But we could all change, I guess, is the whole point of that. So, Lane, you are a coach. Tell us about your coaching business and how can somebody work with you if they want, and how can they get a hold of you?
Uh, I have an Instagram account under the name Linh Dang K. And at the moment, the account is focused on sort of like decoding psychology and consciousness
Okay.
of women in their 30s, so to say. But pretty much everybody uh, is welcome to work with me. I do have a link at the bio part of the Instagram where you can book a discovery call with me. And during this discovery call, we were just pretty much trying to figure out what is holding you back, what is the main reason why you don't do the things that you want to do. And then we can book in an RTT, which is a rapid transformation therapy session. And I have never worked with a client who didn't get any result after the session. And they always achieve a certain level of transformation after one session. And that is why I love this modality so much. It's such an amazing method or tools to help people. The website is still under construction at the moment, unfortunately, but I think it's going to be complete very soon, probably by the beginning of the next year. But at the moment, you can all contact me through my Instagram account, DM me, just talk to me. I would love to get to know you all.
Yeah, and I will absolutely. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And yeah, whenever your website's ready, let me know, and I'll shoot that out maybe at a later point in time, too. Uh, yeah, life is crazy. Did you ever imagine 5 years ago that you would be a coach and hearing a podcast or anything like this? Yeah.
No, no, I would never. I was so much in my own delusion of a perfect relationship. I had my pink goggle on all the time, which is why I couldn't see the red flags during the relationship. And up until now, I still telling myself and telling people that I'm so grateful for my ex for breaking up with me because he loves himself enough to realize that he could be happier, but unfortunately not with me, and which is fine. And without that breakup, I wouldn't, embark on the self-development journey and lead me to where I am today. So I think I do believe that everything has its process, and I just need to constantly working on understanding myself better, get to know myself better, and fall in love with myself over and over again.
Yeah, and life is a journey, and it's full of ups and downs and twists and turns and sideways. And for anybody listening, you feel like you're not reaching your potential, what is holding you back? Lean is someone that you can definitely work with to figure that out. Lean, we said a lot of good stuff today. Is there anything else that you haven't said already that you would like to say before we sign off here?
Um, I would say I think everybody is innately good. I know that some people have a problem with that, just like she's just too naive and have never met a bad person in her life. But I think everybody is innately good, and we just need to remind it. Something happened along the way, and it's fine. We did something that we're not proud of. We might had a rough childhood or a rough background, but I think as long as we look ahead and then we aware of the fact that we can get through it all, as long as we can be with ourselves and give ourselves enough compassion and empathy, then I think we can conquer it all. I think it's just that is the equation to confidence after all. We just need that awareness that you are capable of doing anything that you put your mind into.
Yeah, and you're a shining example of change and becoming the person that you want to be. So, Lean, thank you very much for being here today. I sure appreciate it. And for anyone listening, I always like to say thank you. So I always give a word of the day at the end of the podcast. And our word of the day for today is hypnosis. So if you're listening to this, DM me or send me an email, the word hypnosis, and I will send you my free Walking for Wellness program. It's completely free. It's worth over $1,000 with all the research that has gone into it. But it's a 24-day Walking for Health program. It's yours completely free. Just email me info@trainingwithcoachbrad.com or DM me. Same, I'm on Instagram also, Training with Coach Brad. And that program is yours completely free to do with what you like. And again, life is crazy. And Lean, like I said, you are a shining example of being the change that, you wish to be in the world. And, whether it's a breakup, like I said, or a health issue or something, whatever it takes to be that catalyst to change, embrace that. And we all have issues that hold us back. That just happens in life. I've certainly had them, but that's why we have coaches like you, Lean, and I've certainly worked with coaches and all of that. So again, thank you for listening and being here today. And as I always say at the end of my podcasts, be well, be safe, be happy, eat ice cream, take care, everyone. And oh, before I go, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave me that 5-star review. I'd sure appreciate it. But until next time, everyone, be well, be safe, be happy, eat ice cream. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.